Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Got to be able to win games in different ways. So
Joe Mazzulla at the podium, guys. We're going to start out with this, all right?
Making winning plays throughout the game and doing whatever it took.
You've talked a lot about Jaylen Brown's mentality. He obviously had, monster game here after the way his regular season went with the knee and all of that stuff. I mean, just kind of prove your point. Like, can you just speak to that mentality to get him to have a game like this after his knee's been bothering?
Yeah, no question. I mean, listen, he's been great, consistent throughout the season, and towards the end of the season, obviously, working through him. But you just trust the mindset and really the warrior mentality that he has, and he knows his mind, he knows his body, and he can take it to another level mentally and physically. And tonight he did that for the team on both ends of the floor, especially to start that third quarter for us.
Coach, Joe, Jaylen Brown played amazing tonight, especially in the third quarter. Do you think it's looking like he'll get his second Finals MVP?
We got a lot. We have a game 2 days from now in Orlando. But he did play great tonight, and I'm glad we have him on our team. And he's a warrior, and I appreciate him.
Right.
Joe, when did you find out that you guys wouldn't have Jason tonight? And you talk a lot about winning on the margins, just with the offensive rebounding and the free throws tonight. How eerie do you see you guys thrive in those areas when it wasn't your greatest shooting night overall?
Yeah, I mean, the game comes down to the margins, and that's a physical test that we have to be able to do. And I thought they got the best of us. I thought we fouled them a little bit too much, which allowed them to sustain some of the runs that we were able to go on. And we just got to do a better job of that. And we could do better. There's 15, 20 possessions that we got to get better, and that's what we'll look at tomorrow. So we got to get ready for that.
And about with Jason, when did you find out about any other updates in terms of how he's doing?
Yeah.
You didn't know when did you find out he couldn't play?
I have no idea. Dude.
Joe, when Jason goes down and can't play tonight, Jaylen steps up, not only the 36 points, the 10 rebounds, the 5 assists. What does that say about him as a player?
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, he's willing to do whatever it takes for us to win. And he didn't come in saying he had to get 36, 10 in there. He came in and said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's what he told me yesterday. And, that's just the mindset that he has. So regardless of if it's going well for him or not, he can take it to another level. And he did that for us. And I thought the guys kind of fed off of that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's repetitive. I apologize for that. But does Jaylen play differently from your perspective when Jason's not there? Like, does something change, or is it a different game, or is it just more of him without Jason there?
I think every game is different. I think every game provides a different opportunity to do different things. And obviously, regardless of if there's a guy in or out, everyone's not necessarily their role, but what's expected of them changes just naturally, whether you're playing different lineups, different positions, different sub patterns, whatever the case may be, the matchups are different. So at the end of the day, I know he comes into every game with an open mind, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. So that just looks different regardless of who's in, who's out. Tonight it called for playing most of the second half. In the first half, that unit that started the second quarter went on a good run, so he extended his rest, and then in the second half we relied on him to bring it home for us.
Joe, there were points in this game that your guys could have lost poise because of some of the physicality. Al looked like he was frustrated, and then it seemed like your guys focused and kind of channeled whatever frustration they had. Is that something that kind of says something about who they are, and is that something you like to see if a team is going to come at you like that, to see your guys almost laughing at it?
I just want to see us play basketball, win the margins, be physical, be tough, execute. That's all that matters. And do it together. It's the most important thing. And I thought our guys did that tonight. And, now the series starts because we're going to a place where they play really well at home. And I expect the absolute best of them. We've got to be ready for that.
You guys huddled up after that little dust up there early. How have you kind of tried to respond, or wanted to see your guys respond to some of those fouls or some of those moments early in the series?
I mean, we're not responding to anything. We're just playing the game. Every game is different. There's no response. It's just, hey, be aware of your environment and what's the environment need, and do it. Do it as a team. What's the most important thing? Focus on the margins, the details, the execution, the toughness, all those things. So it's not really, we're not responding to anything. We're out there playing, we're reading the environment, and then we're just taking what the environment gives us and going from there.
And the way they defend you through 2 games, what do you feel like you guys are getting out of that? They're obviously really challenging you guys offensively to be at another level. How have you guys embraced that challenge and stepped up to it, you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, good, but we could always do better, which we did. There's moments in both games where we have to be better offensively because of their physicality, and so for the most part we're handling it pretty well. But we know we have to be better, especially now that we know we're going to their place.
Joe, just wondering your reaction to Chris Stapps taking the hit and the cut and what you saw there.
I didn't see anything. I just knew he had to shoot the free throws in order to come back in the game, and then he came back and helped us finish it off. So appreciate his toughness. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that he's doing tonight, I think, showed up on the box score, obviously with 20 points and 10 rebounds, but he's bringing a physical dimension for us on both ends of the floor. That's really important.
Joe, it's the second time in like 2 or 3 weeks he's been cut and needed stitches. I mean, you're in USC guy. Like, you got to admire just kind of him just going back and getting stitched and coming back out. I mean, that's something that's got to kind of, touch you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I like his overall just approach. I think he has an innate ability to take things very serious and at the same time, have great perspective. And, you see how I think he can control his environment really well with how he handles the crowd and how he handles the physicality of it. And he can maintain his poise. And he just has a great way about him. And I think that helps us. And I do. I love watching him. I like watching him bleed on the court. I think it's important. And then he comes back in and does his job. So I do like that about him.
You played some zone defense through the game. What did you think of the execution of it?
I mean, that's a process versus result question. There was, I think, two possessions where they scored on it, but we gave up the shot that we wanted to, or we got in good position and we may have fouled. And sometimes we left them open, and I mean, we didn't leave them open. They got open and missed the shot. And so it's just one of those things that you have to have a feel for, and and try to change the rhythm of the game at different times, because they're so good offensively at getting what they want, and you just have to fight to try and take that away.
Joe, obviously with Jason, you have to find different ways to initiate offense. You guys posted up a lot. You did in the regular season too, but against such a physical Magic team, how do you feel like that went, especially considering it's not just the big guys like Jalen and the guards and everybody doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just more about taking what the defense gives you. I mean, they're doing a good job of changing some matchups and changing coverages, and they do shrink the floor really well. So at the end of the day, we just got to take what they give us. We got to make the right reads. We did that, I'd probably say, 65-70% of the time, and then we got to get better to the 30% on our reads and, at the point of attack. So, whatever they give us, we have to be ready to take advantage of.
Is there any thought process of using those post-ups as a way to match the physicality, or is it just purely the best way to get offense with Tatum?
I mean, the best thing to do is to just play, execute, have an understanding of how you're being defended, what the coverage is, what type of shot can you get versus the coverage, what's the spacing, and win the margins. Thanks.
There you go, Joe Mazzulla. After a win here, the Celtics take down the Orlando Magic. Jimmy Toscano didn't miss a thing. Came in just in time. We started the show because we wanted to get to Joe. And Jimmy, I'll let you start, because this was a classic hard hat victory for the Celtics. I tweeted it right when the game ended. This was my favorite game of the year.
So just to check, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you medium.
Yeah, I think my microphone I'm going to have to play with my microphone, but as long as you can hear me medium, I'll take it.
I can hear you.
This was a hard hat win against a team that you actually need a helmet for when you're playing against this Magic team. I'm going to call them dirty at this point. Yeah, they listen, they can't beat you the fair and square way. They gotta reduce themselves to cheap shots, unnecessary roughness, the whole nine, and so I tip my hard hat to these guys. Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots. Porzingis could have used one of these tonight out there in the court, certainly. Love what I saw. A team that, one of the things we've said over the last few seasons, that the Celtics team sometimes lacks a bit of a toughness, right? A little like edge to them. And it feels like they can get punked out there at times. But I got to say, I don't know if I feel like this was a message that they were able to send back tonight where it's like, no, you're not going to push us around. You're not going to play dirty. If you do, we're going to match it. And we're still going to beat you at your own game. And so I love this win as well, John. And I love that the fact that they did it without their best player in Jason Tatum. And I know we're going to get into that, in this show. But Jaylen Brown stepped up tonight the way all-star players need to step up. He put the team on his back, if you will, in a number of ways. And this is what this guy's been known for. He's shown up in these big playoff games in these series over the last few seasons. And this is going to be one that you're going to look back on and say, on a game where you weren't sure how they were going to be able to play without Tatum. We all know that the best lineups are with Tatum in there. And for them to really dig deep and figure out ways to, again, this is a Magic team. It's not, we understand that the Magic are the Magic. They're not a high-powered offensive team, but they do have some guys in Banchero and Wagner that can really figure out ways to score, at the end of the day, especially Banchero. So I tip my hard hat to these guys coming out the way they did. It was a hard hat type of an effort, all hands on deck, certainly with Tatum out of the game. And now you go, you did exactly what you needed to do at home. You took the first two games. You kind of at a point now where if you're the Magic, what else can you really do, right? Except be more dirty, which hopefully they don't.
Yeah.
And then we go from there.
Yeah. So again, I agree with a lot of that. And I think there's so many things you can draw from in this game. And there's so many reasons I loved it, but I have to start. I got to start with an apology cam, Jimmy. I'm going to start right out of the gate.
Wow.
Apology cam. I'm going right to it. Here I am.
Love it.
Here I am.
I absolutely love it.
I did not think the Orlando Magic could score 100 points, and I was wrong. And for that, I apologize.
That's the apology. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. You're right. Big of you.
I'm accountable. So I wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
But I will say this. It's one, why I liked it. I loved the tough thing. That was my favorite part about it is the Magic tried to pull you into the mud last game and you did it, but it was like you kind of did it their way and they just had to suck so bad to lose the game. And you didn't play great. You got a good game from Derek White, some heroics from Pritchard, but it was just an ugly game all around. This was a game where it's like, all right, we'll get tough too. And they did. I thought Horford came with extra fire tonight. Obviously, Brown, we'll spend a minute or two on him later. And then a bunch of other guys, throughout the game, they just came out and they played tough. You've got literally one of the most memeable moments ever with Kristaps Porzingis getting bloody and coming back and smiling and laughing on the court, which was terrific.
He's like Bane. He looked like Bane out there.
But the other thing is, like, you talk about mood, right? Like, mood after game one, it looked bad. Brown, we said, looked okay. We thought he was fine, but you wanted to see a little bit more. And then Tatum gets hurt too, and now you've got double bone bruises with your two best players. And so you're super worried about how this is going to play. How this is going to play out. Like, how long is Tatum going to be out? It was surprising to some people that he was listed as doubtful. He didn't even warm up. He didn't shoot. So like the mood is weird. And then it's like, okay, well, this is going to have to be a Jaylen Brown game. And like, it would have felt really shitty if this was a Jaylen Brown game and Jaylen Brown was limited, didn't have it. He's trying to make it happen and it didn't. And the opposite happened. Like, he was phenomenal. And not just like phenomenal, like forget the threes, like fine, the threes fell and that was great. And he had a couple of those great, like step back threes and this and that. He just looked like that, the hesitation, the athleticism, the stop and the going to the basket stuff. We haven't seen that in several weeks from Brown, like not at all. You've seen a flash, right? Okay, wow, he finished with his left. That looked good. Like glimpses, snapshots. Like, okay, that looked a little like Jalen, but not for an entire game or not for a sustainable period of time. He looked like that the whole game. You had the full Jaylen Brown experience there. Going to the basket, circus shots, pull-ups, contested twos, the pull-up threes, a whole lot of everything. And he's matched up defensively on Ben Caro for a lot of the night as well. So like you had the full thing. So you went from, and like all of the medical stuff on Tatum is like, this is the kind of thing that'll bother him for a week or so and he'll be fine. Now you've got a 2-0 lead. You don't have to rush Tatum back if he needs another game or whatever to get himself right. You're not super concerned that this is a long-term injury. And Brown looked like himself again. Eventually Jimmy's going to pull it together, and then we're going to really start this show. So like if you're a Celtics fan from the end of game 1 when Tatum went down, your mood's got to be flying up here. I loved all of it. I loved all of it tonight. You feel so much better about all of it with that. Like, I'm not as worried that Tatum's going to be gone long term, and I think we needed to see a game like this from Brown.
Wait, so what is it that doesn't worry you about Tatum? Just the fact that you got a better performance without him, or you just don't think it's
two things. One, everything that's talking about it after is it's not the kind of thing. It's not as like the Browns thing being more contact and the pounding and this and that is the type of thing that can linger a little bit longer and be more of a hindrance. Seems like most people are saying like, oh, the thing in the wrist here, it after a few days or a little bit of time, this will probably kind of dissipate on its own. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be as bad. He missed a game. He can miss another probably, and you're probably going to be okay. And you're fine. But again, I think Brown is the key to all of it. Like this is the thing you're worried about. Like if Brown's not Brown, winning a title is really hard. If Brown's this guy and then the Tatum injury isn't that bad, you're right back where you were before any of this happened. It's like, okay, back on course.
100%. Yeah. And we said this before, if you have Brown out there looking like 50%, he could really end up hurting you, but we're not seeing that. I think even in game 1, you didn't get a 50% Brown. You got a guy that just looked like a good NBA player. It didn't look like the Jaylen Brown that we've all come to know and love and the aggressive physical version of him. But I thought game 2, and what did I say in game 1? I'm going to be more interested to see what he looks like in game 2 than I am in game 1, because I want to see him on less amount of days off, So he obviously had 10 plus days, 10, 12 days off before game 1. I want to see him with, 2 days off. And so past with flying colors. I mean, this was a grade A performance, 36, 10 and 5. And the best part, John, was the 3-points falling tonight, which has been something that whether it's Brown or Tatum, that 3-point shot has been a bit elusive for these guys. And Brown did not have a good 3-point shooting season, even really got away from it for basically the second half of the year. And tonight, again, when he needed to, because he needed to change his game up a little bit, because they needed that extra oomph, and there were a lot of more shots to go around tonight because Tatum wasn't out, he relied a little bit more on that 3-point shot, and luckily it fell. 5 of 7 from 3 is just unbelievable for him. So love what you saw from Brown. I'm with you in the sense that I don't get the feeling, and again, this isn't based on anything other than what my Uncle Joey told me at MGH, is that, the type of injury that Tatum has, he didn't snap anything, it makes it hard for a day or two. It gets kind of stiff, but otherwise he should be fine. No, but it just felt you do get that kind of vibe. Obviously the fact that he was doubtful is better than just straight up out. Although I think you probably guessed that they put him as doubtful, but they knew he wasn't playing, right? Is that kind of what your take was from the beginning there? Regardless, being up 2-0, you don't feel like you have any pressure to rush him back out there. You obviously want to, take care of business in Orlando too. You don't want to make this into a series by dragging anything out, but love the way that they won these first 2 games. And I just like the answer. I didn't, the Magic, and shoot around today being like, we're not, basically saying we're not going to apologize for anything. We're going to play our game and we're actually effective in it because we're getting them to complain about stuff. Well, it's not really like they're complaining. It's just that they're recognizing that, this was borderline dirty, cheap shot. And then the Magic wanted to double down on it tonight, and the Celtics answered. Yeah. So Shout out to them.
Yeah.
And that's all we release.
Yeah, get Tatum. Thanks, John. Get Tatum. Jalen's pain injection yesterday, had that burst tonight. Look, Jalen looked he looked completely different. Completely different than anything we saw. Even the games, even the Phoenix game, and what was it, Washington, where he had points. Even Noah, eternal optimist, was like, he looked the same to me. Just shitty defenses and the shots were falling. This was the first time he looked like athletic again, like fully closer to it, just in terms of how he was setting guys up, the hesitation stuff he had guys on skates tonight. He was trying to get before tonight. Every time he tried to get somewhere, he was just running into walls. He couldn't get around people. Completely different tonight. So not shocked, but yes, that's what you want to see. It was so relieving to see it. All of the friggin' Twitter, all of the comment Jalen champions out there who can't tell the difference between fast and slow and think this is always what he looked like. He didn't. This is different. He looked different tonight. Everyone can rejoice all together. Okay. If you want to call slow fast, what it was before, or unathletic or stiff, that's fine. You can do that. It wasn't. This was much, much, much better. And again, we're stacking it against other games where he had production late in the season, not just that Knicks game where everything looked really bad and he looked really, laboring and this and that. And even better than game one, he was moving better than game one. So who knows? That was the key to the Tatum thing. If Tatum's going to be out, then it's going to fall on Jalen. And this was, I'm not going to say make or break, because it's just game 2 versus Orlando. You're winning this series, but it was important to see it. And like I said, I think you got to feel a ton better about this after the game here to see him do that. The rest of it was kind of similar. That's what makes the Celtics, right? You didn't have the Derek White awesome game, but you did have Derek White coming through with a couple of heroics in the fourth quarter when they needed 3-pointers there. Cavaliers end up winning. There was a little bit of drama in the chat with some people. Miami had given them a bit of a run there. The Cavs are now up 2-0 here as well. But yeah, same. The rest was kind of the same. Jaylen Brown played the offensive hero tonight, where it was where the other night it was Derek White. With the other guys, struggling to get going offensively. Drew Holiday had an awesome, super active game. He didn't knock down threes, but that's fine. Porzingis had one of the weirder stat lines you're going to see. And we'll talk about that moment with his head too as well. You didn't shoot it well. 5 of 14, 0 of 5 from 3. 14 friggin' free throws. He got to the line 14 times. He was pretty spicy. And then Pritchard again, thank goodness, because the bench right now, Hauser has yet to score in this series, and Luke Cornett is getting played off the floor every minute he's out there. But Pritchard's hanging, and that's important. Mr. Sixth Man of the Year is in there, and he's hanging. So, a lot of good things in here, but kind of similar to what you saw in game 1. Orlando's doing their dirty shit. Paolo's really all they've got for offense with a little bit of Franz sprinkled in. And man, you got to love watching KCP eat shit in this game and just look like the worst friggin' player on the court. I love it. I love it.
He's good at one thing, and that's just roughing it up.
I don't know, man. He was integral to the Nuggets, championship a couple of years ago, and man, he's
happens
trash.
fast. Yeah, happens fast.
Yeah.
Maybe this was kind of almost the perfect opponent for the Celtics in the first round, because
toughen them up. Yeah. Take up
exactly.
Just don't get hurt. Right.
Obviously you don't want it to go that far, but just wake them up. This is playoff basketball in the sense where it's physical, it's intense. These guys are going to try to get under your skin. You're going to need to band together. You're going to need to overcome whatever frustrations are mounting due to the opponent, but also a winnable team. Not to the point where you're worried that they're going to actually beat you, but you still have to show up. You still have to snap out of whatever sort of regular season daydreaming you were floating in for the last 3 months of the year. It is a bit of a wake up call, at least in that sense. So I'm glad that this is their opponent, but I'm even more glad at how they've showing up in these first 2 games, with a little bit of, obviously with a little bit of health issues and things of that nature, but the star players showing up. And again, it was a lot of Jaylen Brown tonight. And feels like Porzingis has one of these moments now, like once a month, where he just gets, and John's gone, I guess, but Porzingis has one of these moments once a month where he gets into the game, gets completely, something goes on, but he relishes the moment so much. Or this guy, he feels like he should be on WrestleMania. Like they just had WrestleMania, I think, on Sunday. Feels like at some point he's going to show up at one of those WrestleMania events, John, because he just loves. First of all, he looks like it. And look at this picture. Looks like he just took a baseball bat to the head, and he just gets the crowd into it. They get fired up. It feels like a playoff atmosphere, and he eats it up. And this guy was like built for these moments. So I love seeing that. I mean, I can't tell you, how many people were shooting off text being like, oh my God, are you looking at this right now? Look at Porzingis. It just feels like, again, welcome to the playoff sort of moment there. That's going to be in the highlight reel, in the championship DVD, knock on wood.
And this guy plays to the crowd like crazy with this.
That's
stuff.
what it is. He's a showman.
It's just,
the great showman.
He's going in. He's high. I mean, even before this, he got fouled hard one time, goes into the front row of the seats, and instead of like turning and retaliating and puffing his chest and being tough, he just decides to high five all the fans while he's in there, and he comes back, and everyone's like, ah. And then this thing happens, and he's literally laughing on the way out about it. He's gushing blood.
He's psycho.
Blood. It might.
It looked like he had horns going down.
One
the
of
back
my twins,
blood.
One of my twins ran screaming out of the room when she saw it. I was like, "It's okay, honey. The unicorn just lost his horn. He'll be fine." But that's great. And then he comes back. I've never seen anything like that. When he comes back, and there's a picture on the right here with that bandage, and I wish you could see it a little bit better. But I mean, everybody saw the game. He's got blood caked over the top and the back of his head. It's still on his nose. They didn't wipe it. He just had to come out and shoot the free throws and then go back in and get stitches. That's just hockey player shit. He's doing it with a smile on his face, which was the best part about it. And, it was the whole thing was great. And, Twitter obviously had a ball with it as well. And some of this stuff is great here with these these wrestling memes here.
Oh hell yeah! Look at that.
Every 5 games or so. This next one's my favorite.
Yeah.
This one's from Fight Club when Ed Norton gets fired. And he's after he fights himself in the office and he comes out of there. We can't get it on the screen here, but anyway. This stuff was great. This stuff was fun. So yeah, this was awesome. This was awesome. This was awesome.
But I mean, you need those moments in the playoffs.
That's legendary. That's
legendary.
Stuff. That's like gonna be like.
It's like the KG. Remember the knuckle push-ups, and then Rondo did it after. Like you get those moments, then you look back on, and that's what gets it. And you could see how fired up Tatum was watching that. Watching Porzingis come out there after that and hitting those free throws, and that's what you rally around. That's what brings teams a lot closer. And so, getting through that, coming out with the W again. Another Magic hung around, but I don't think anyone once that Celtics went on that run in that third quarter there. I don't think there was many people thinking that Magic had enough in them to be able to climb all the way back in, and they didn't. They just don't. They're just not equipped to.
They're not.
But again, the Celtics.
They're not.
Celtics just playing an extra level of intensity, which again you don't see it a lot from them because a lot of times they don't have to, John. A lot of times they can just rely on their talent and beat teams that way, and I'm sure they obviously still can when it comes to Orlando as well. But in this case, they actually do have to rely on a little bit more toughness than I think they've had to in past seasons or in past games. So that's what I really like this Orlando team has got out of them. And it's a good precursor to I think, the second round too, because whether you get Detroit or New York, those are physical teams too. Those are athletic teams, and those are teams that are going to try to beat you the same way. Because again, it comes down to offense. The Celtics offense is going to be better than those two. So they're going to have to find other ways. And the Celtics need to respond accordingly.
Yeah, you're right. Like if you have two, especially offensively, because the Celtics, what I love too is, Orlando's offense is not great, but the Celtics really clamped down defensively too, even though Orlando got to their magic 100, which I didn't think they would get to this entire series.
You apologized.
I did. I owned it.
Yep. The only thing you have to apologize for.
I owned it. That's it. But they played tough too, but you're right. You don't want it to get tougher. Yeah. A lot of people were talking Schilling blood. If I had fucking Schilling can go.
Wasn't even blood, man.
Schilling's ketchup sock. I'm not even getting into that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And no, what's funny is actually, if you guys want to read it, Bobby Manning wrote a really good article for CLNS Media about Kristaps Porzingis. It's on the website right now, kind of chronicling, his
good timing.
Journey last year, and just talking about how gruesome that injury was, and that the surgery that he was about to have, it looked like basically like he was getting his leg amputated. It was a significant surgery, and playing on it, they were like, "Are you crazy, dude?" And he's like, "I'm playing." And it was really, really bad. Like nobody thought that's a thing that he should do. And they're like, I guess you can't mangle that mangled thing any worse than it is. So he did, but it was a significant and severe injury that he tried to play on. And it was not pretty, but a really good article from Bobby. Real quick, while we have a minute and we're waiting for the podium here. Yeah, you guys should read that. I'll let you know.
We'll have
great time. Yeah, great time to get into. Yeah, Bailey, you can throw that link in the chat here. Great time for people here to get involved with Prize Picks now that the basketball playoffs are underway. Best place to make real money, putting your sports opinions to work. Pick more, pick less. 2 or more players. It is that easy. And you see it on the screen. You play 5, you get 50 instantly when you download the app and use the promo code CLNS. Once again, download the app, use the promo code CLNS, play 5, get 50 instantly right into your account. You do not have to win. It's that simple, fun, super easy to use. So check it out. Promo code CLNS, play 5, get 50 instantly. Run your game with Prize Picks. Getting back to it, Jimmy Toscano. And let me remove this. Here from this game. Yeah, I love it. I loved all of it, Jimmy. I really did. I would say you want to talk about minor annoyances. It was a little annoying they couldn't have a kill shot because they had them a few times, 15, 12, 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it was annoyingly close, but it also never felt like it was going to get away from them. Because it's the Magic. And you're not going to fault them there because, again, playing without Tatum changes everything that they do. Right. He's the center of their universe offensively. I mean, we've talked about having to survive Tatum minutes in games when you have your full lineup against good opponents. Now you've got to do this. And it throws everything into complete disarray, just in terms of how you run your offense, running things through him, letting him read and react, the gravity that he has here. It can get ugly. The ball can stick sometimes. It doesn't move as well sometimes when he's not on the court. And then on top of that, it kind of takes your bench out of the game a little bit too. And it's not like Hauser and Cornette had good game ones with Tatum out there, but Tatum didn't play well himself. But those guys need Tatum to survive. And when they were out there without him, they were really, really, really struggling. So it's almost like you're eliminating like 3 players at once when Tatum's not on the court. So even though it's Orlando, it's still challenging. I mean, it's a big challenge playing without Tatum.
100%. I mean, that's why I think Bobby was screaming, right, to the last month of the year. Give Tatum some rest, let the team play without him a little bit, try some different things. But Tatum wanted to keep playing, and that's fine. It all worked out in the end. But you did wonder, and when you look at the best 5 lineups or the top lineups, the top 5-man lineups on the Celtics this year, I think Tatum's in just about every single one of them, right? If I recall, looking at that graphic, I think there was maybe one that he wasn't in. But to your point, everything goes through Tatum, right? When he's out there on the court. They play a certain style. He's got his hands on the ball in some capacity almost every moment. Obviously when he's out there with the bigs like Cornette, him and Cornette have a little thing going for a while, but it's different with him and Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown, when he's not on the court, the Celtics style doesn't necessarily change completely if Tatum's out there, because again, he's more the catalyst of things like that. But when he's not out there, you can definitely see how things need to be differently. And again, call it whatever you want, but I thought Brown had to play a little bit of the hero ball mode tonight because they are less of a move the ball around team. They are less that style when Tatum's out there. They are a little bit more, okay, I'm going to give it a shot this time, or, I'm going to be a little bit more ISO than we probably would be if Tatum was out there. So credit to Jaylen, credit to Joe and the rest of the guys for being able to adapt like that, because they didn't do it a lot this season because Tatum was healthy for the most of the year and he wants to play. And that's one of the reasons, a couple of the reasons why. I don't know if we mentioned Pritchard, but I thought Pritchard was a nice little catalyst for them in the fourth quarter tonight, John, too. I mean, I don't, you're muted.
Pritchard's playing his ass off. Real quick, I'll hit up your Pritchard thing. I had put a super chat up here. I've sent super chats. Thanks, X3. To criticize JB, I'll give him credit. Very nice. Put your money where your mouth is.
Wow.
I like it. And KCP, this is NHC777. Thank you for the super chat, all of you guys. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate the donation. He ran straight into Al on purpose. I love that plausible deniability thing. Like, what? Same thing with the Batazzi elbow. Like, dude, come on.
You know what you're doing, right?
You know what oh, dude, where's your head there? Like,
yeah.
I hate that stuff. We were talking about that with the Tatum landing. When I was so mad, the guy landed in his zone. I'm like, it's 100% intentional. You're like 100%. These are all like, you throw your arm up, like what? The kicking on the shot.
You were fired up about that. Actually,
you hit a guy in the seeds. I think that stuff. That's the dirty stuff. You want to play actually dirty? Just do a Mikhail Rambis and just clothesline somebody.
Yeah, own it,
and then stand over him and own it. Yeah, I hit you. I hate that. Whoa, what are you? I'm so sorry, buddy. So like KCP clearly is trying to get spicy there, and Al was extra spicy tonight. So I loved this. But back to your Pritchard thing, Jimmy. I agree 100%. Pritchard's working his ass off because they're pressuring him. He's handling the ball a lot. He has to work really hard for it, and he's getting there. He has to really work to get his shots off and get to his spots and to get to the basket there. And they're a tough physical defense. I think he's playing his ass off. I thought he had another awesome game. Agree.
Yeah, no, he did. He co-sign. There we go. Love that.
I love it.
Sixth man of the year, Peyton Pritchard, by the way, officially named. Congrats to him. Well earned. I think he was the rightful winner of that award. So they got it right. And the one thing about Pritchard is, there's going to be some games where maybe he gets negated a little bit, and maybe it's matchup based, and maybe sometimes size or physicality can be too much. But one thing you'll never question is if this guy is giving it his all out there, and he is fighting through it right now, and he's matching physicality with physicality. 14 points on a physical game against a tough defensive minded Magic team, coming off the bench the way he did, and again 3 of 6 from 3. Again, it's another one of these because he's the guy that, when you're looking at the bench, who's going to have that mentality? Who's going to come in and just play their ass off? Who's going to get physical? Who's going to get dirty? Who's going to, like you said, give everything he can out there? And it's been Pritchard. And so he's come to play so far already in this playoffs. And I know last year he was famous for basically like the half-court heave that kind of put him on the map there, I think. But I think he's obviously shown everybody since then that he's more than just, a circus shot guy.
Agree, Nicole. Hands all over him. They're hand checking everybody, but they're hand checking the crap out of Pritchard. It's really hard to get anywhere. And he's able to do it. They're constantly all game long. It's unreal how much they let him get away with.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it in a sense. I like when the refs swallow the whistle. I want it to be even. I want it to be fair, obviously.
And guarding Paolo. Good point, Zach. He switched on to Paolo and competed multiple times tonight. It was an awesome Pritchard game.
And I think because he is such a good shooter, I think his defense can be a little bit underrated. Obviously, being undersized makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're talking about like full court type of pass defense, I can remember Jaylen Brown specifically saying like how freaking much it sucks going against Pritchard in practice because of how in your face he is from just the get-go. And so listen, he loves playing that style. I think the Celtics want him to play that way when he's out there, balls to the walls. He has like an unbelievable motor. I've never seen the guy take a play off. And so certainly not now in the playoffs are you going to see that happen. So, it was good. It was good. Good to see that.
It was good. I loved it. Like I said, there was a lot of good.
Yeah. As T writes, Noah's smiling somewhere. Somebody in the comments room.
Oh, what's that?
Here it is. Noah's smiling somewhere just because of how Pritchard played today. Picking up full court. There it is. So, again, that's who he is, man.
The other super chat guy is a classic JB Hader fan. 36-10-5. This is yeah. That's okay.
And you say he played well. Hey, baby steps, all right? Baby steps. You got to start somewhere. Right, John?
I love it. Yeah. Played well.
36-10-5. Yeah. Yeah, we'll give him some credit. He showed up today.
He showed up. Yeah. He was good. I'll ask you real quick because we're going to spend time on all of these guys again. We'll go once around the horn with Bobby and Noah, but just covering everything. How worried are you on the Tatum stuff? I'm a little less than I was, but I don't love it. But also, again, I'm buoyed by Brown's performance, where it worries me less because I'm not as concerned that it's going to be. Like I said, I was a little gloomy last game because I was like, man, you can't do it without both these guys. You can't do it with both these guys at less than their best. Like that's going to be hard. So I don't know. But where are you now in your panic meter? A day later, he missed.
Can we run it? Can we run the panic?
He missed the game. No, I don't want to do panic meters in a win right now. I just want to do a concern.
All right, fine.
Concern clock. What do we want to call it? A concern
clock? I like that. I'm probably like, all right, so if we're going around the clock and 1 is like not panicked at all and 11 is like sound the alarm, I'm like 7. I don't know. It's never good when you miss the game, right? I mean, hot take. Is it good to see Brown step up in his absence? Absolutely. But I'm not like this Celtics team is not going to win the NBA Finals with a Jason Tatum that's in and out of the lineup. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Now,
as soon as he went down. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, if you take everybody at their word and again, he was doubtful for game 2. Maybe he'll be questionable for game 3. And still, even if he misses it, fine. But if he's going to inch up closer to being able to play again, then fine. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But I'm telling you, if you get to the second round and he's not close to where he needs to be, what I worry about is the shot. That's what I worry about because we're talking about a wrist here. We're not talking about a finger. Yeah. This is the moneymaker, right, John? You're muted again. It's okay. Whatever you said.
I'm eating an M&M.
Then yeah, mute yourself again. But when he left it, when he injury happened, he goes to the line, he misses his free throws. Obviously, I thought that might happen. The wrist is going to be very stiff until it's not. And that's just going to be until it's not. There you go. Yeah, the doomsday clock. Until and again, we don't, the Celtics aren't very forthcoming and probably no pro team really is going to be. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the level of pain that he's dealing with. But I'm going to have a little bit of a panic until I see him out there and until I see shots fall. Because that's the one thing that you want to pull your hair out about, John, is when he starts to take those shots, difficult shots, forced shots, that if he just minimized, he'd be a much more efficient scorer. Well, now where does that line fall? If he's got a little bit of pain in that shot and if it's a little bit, again, stiff or just enough where it's not the natural shooting motion. You don't want to have to change that at this stage of the game. So until I see him out there, I definitely have a little level of panic. And also it's Jason Tatum. It's not a guy you can just replace, not a guy you can plug and play around. And they got by again tonight, and I think they'll get by the Magic. But if we're talking about the Knicks, if we're talking about the Cavs, if you're talking about a Western Conference team, it's another story.
Let's hear Kristaps Porzingis taking the podium now.
Wow, the
with
scar is
fresh cut-
showing.
Fresh cut. You can see the scar. Let's hear KP. All smiles.
It looks like Frankenstein.
How many stitches?
5.
That's it?
We know this.
That's it.
Wow. It looked a lot worse than that. Did it feel a lot worse than that?
No, honestly, the nose one felt like a pretty good one. This one was just a quick flash, a quick cut, but I saw the amount of blood as soon as I looked at my hand, so I knew it was going to be like some stitches for sure. But yeah, not too bad.
I mean, you're smiling right now. You love this. You love that moment. I mean, what's it like out there?
You love
having
this.
that, but seeing the crowd go nuts. You're for the second time.
No, I love my like WWE moments for sure.
There it is.
It just happens in the game, you know. And you know me, like I always love engaging with the crowd, and I already knew like getting hit again, blood again, like crowd was gonna just go with it. So it was cool. It was fun.
Can you talk a little about winning the game within the margins tonight and kind of the overall effort, the physicality, and obviously being cut, evidence of that, and how you guys met the challenge there without JT? What were the keys?
Yeah, very physical game, but I feel like at least we didn't have a good game offensively. We had some like good moments. D. White got hot for a little bit, JB, but overall we just we didn't play up to our level. This is what I feel, honestly, and I expect us to be better going forward. But yeah, it was a tough physical game. Nothing easy on either side. Every rebound is a war, and it's gonna probably be that way for the rest of the series.
How have you guys wanted to respond to some of the physicality? Obviously, there's a scuffle early between Al and KCP there. What was that moment like for you guys, and how have you wanted to respond to some of those moments?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be us, you know. We're not gonna let anybody like punk us. And we expect teams to be doing this kind of stuff, to get in our heads, to try to provoke us, to try to maybe get some reaction out of us, some technical, maybe something. You know, it's an emotional game, obviously. So we weren't surprised, but we're not gonna, we're just not gonna take it. So it's gonna, we're gonna hit them right back.
You had a much better game tonight. What did you take from that first one, and how did it go better for you in this one?
Yeah, I was just more aggressive. My shot is still, not rushed, maybe a few shots. I still feel like I can, I have like much higher level to play offensively, especially. I missed a lot. I missed even free throws. Like I missed a lot of stuff, So, yeah, I expect myself to be a lot better offensively. I think defensively, I'm doing well. Yeah, first game was not ideal. Maybe a bit too passive in some moments also. So just staying aggressive and finding my rhythm.
Toward the end of the regular season, you said you admired Jalen's warrior mindset, but basically you questioned whether he should still be out on the court. Just from your perspective, what has it taken for him to prepare himself for these playoffs? How much has he put into it? And then to see him tonight carrying the burden that he did, what did that do to energize you guys?
Yeah, obviously he always like transmits this kind of energy. He's willing to like leave it all out there for the team and sacrifice, himself, his body, for the game. And everybody respects that, obviously. And he was leading us today on both ends, and yeah, he was doing JB, and that's what we expect from him. And he's at the same time managing this stuff that he has, and there's no like challenge big enough for him. Like he can do whatever, So he's just gonna keep taking care of it and keep playing the same way. We're gonna be happy.
Kristaps, right here. After getting hit in the head with the elbow and watching your own blood down your back of your head, Most of us would have called it a night, but you didn't. Like, what made you go back into the game? Did you know you're going to go back? What went into that, like, coming back out?
No, honestly, how can I not come out like, oh, I have 5 stitches, I can't play anymore? Like, no, like my legs work, everything works, you know. So of course I'm going to be out there, and yeah. And as I said, you know me, I like these moments, you know. I come back out again, and get a little love from the crowd, you know. So yeah, it's just it just happens within the game, and if this is not going to stop me, you know. So I'm going to keep going.
And was a smile to the crowd to let them know you were okay? Was that a kind of a
No, I just smile because I was like, again, all right,
Yeah, 12 free throw attempts you had in the first half, or more than you had in most games this season. Was that a point of emphasis for you, or was that just kind of going into that aggressive mindset you were talking about?
Free throws? Yeah. Just more aggressive, more fighting in the post against smaller guards, and even there's some of their bigger players. So just being ultra aggressive in the post, offensive rebound, and getting some of those free throws just from some of the dirty work, like fighting, rebound, and yeah, they added up pretty quick, honestly. And even in a regular season, I had like a similar game to this. I also had 12 out of some free throws, kind of like double my average almost, so it's just the type of basketball they're going to play against us. And this is what I have to do to try to compete with us.
The way Joe described it, I'm going back to the cuts, sorry, is that you do a really good job of taking the game and everything very seriously, but also maintaining a perspective and how you can enjoy those moments. How do you do that?
I think because in my career, I've had a lot of ups, but I've had a lot of downs, and I've been out with injuries and this. And so when I have the actual moment to play basketball, I try to enjoy it to the fullest, I'm smiling, I'm having fun, I'm trying to engage with the fans. So it comes pretty naturally to me, and especially playing here in Boston, getting this love. And it's just, for me, it's like, yeah, it's like no better place to do it, on the biggest stage and getting all of this love. It's like, this is what I dreamed of, and especially with my history, I enjoy every moment on the floor to the fullest. Thank you. Thanks.
Kristaps Porzingis, 20 points tonight, 14 free throw attempts, 5 stitches. Nice night at the office for KP, who again remains and will continue to be by far the best interview here. And I put this up from Fred, one of our longtime viewers. Thanks, Fred, for watching always. But this brings me back to Jimmy and conversation. I'm not calling you out because we all had the same concern, but it's so funny to think back at the beginning that how's Porzingis gonna fit? How's he gonna fit in the locker room, kid? In Jimmy's words, I think exact words, I hear he's kind of a dink.
Yeah, guilty.
I hear he's
We'll put the
kind of a
apology
dink.
cam up for that one too.
Like we all were. We're like, I don't know, this guy, he's kind of worn out his welcome. Isn't that the thing? How in the world did anybody, like, unless he's matured tremendously, and obviously you're going to mature the older you get, but like, how in the world could anybody have ever said anything negative about this guy in terms of his personality and his attitude? He's just the biggest breath of fresh air ever. It's unbelievable. He embraces all of it, every single bit of it. It's unreal. From his friendship with JB, when they can like be light and giggle with each other. JB doesn't giggle. He's not light, and Porzingis brings that out in him, the embracing the fans, fully understanding all of it. Moments like these, the Warrior stuff about coming back on the foot last year, like he's already legendary status in 2 years, Everyone looks ahead. It's like, well, you're going to have to break up the roster. It could mean getting rid of this guy. Can you imagine this guy not be? I can't imagine Holiday not being here either for different reasons, even if that is the reality of what's going to happen with this team. Well, Porzingis is like, it feels like he's been here forever.
Right. He's it's like the folklore of the team now, right? He's like kind of ingrained in it, like the legend.
Forever.
Yeah. When you look back at this era, however long it goes, you won't be able to talk about it without talking about Porzingis, much like, our parents wouldn't be able to talk about the 80s without talking about, Mikhail or Parrish. He doesn't have to be the best player on the team for him to be a huge part of that team and a huge part of winning and part of what made them one of, if not the best teams of this era, however long they're able to go here. And the reason why I probably got that impression of Porzingis, it's not really his fault, but I think that was probably the vibe that we were getting from the fans of those teams because he was in some bad situations. Drafted out of the Knicks, immediately had this target on him, and you know how Knicks fans can be.
Who the he's this Pingus guy
brought onto the team, and yeah, he's supposed to save, he's all this stuff. He's supposed to going to save the Knicks. He's going to make them into a contender, and it didn't go that way. And he had super, super high expectations set on him right off the bat that I don't think most rookies can ever reach. Then being in New York City was a bad recipe. It didn't work out there. Then he goes to Dallas. Same thing. Ends up in a situation where, for whatever reason, didn't find success there. Apparently there was, and again, I don't know, apparently it wasn't true, but did he have a good relationship with some of his teammates? Did he not? We'll never know, I guess. But it seemed like he was going from team to team at the time. Fans weren't huge on him. Teammates didn't really necessarily I never really heard any teammates say anything great about him up until Boston, to be completely honest. He had a good season in Washington, and then the Celtics took a bit of a risk, and they traded for him. And the risk wasn't personality-based. It was health-based, physical-based. And we've seen him in and out of the lineup due to various injuries since then. But right now, he's healthy. He's happy. The team is winning. And you can see it in his smile, in his face, in the way he works the crowd, and the way he plays out there. I said it all season long, not just over the last couple of weeks. This has, in my opinion, been his best season as a pro from top to bottom. Yeah. And he probably would say the same thing. And I think just the way he feels, he said it right now in his press conference, just so appreciative to be where he is now, having been where he's been in the NBA and some of the situations that he's been in, to now find himself in this organization, winning, happy to be out there, even when he's getting elbowed in the face or he's getting his nose broke or whatever. He's eating it up. He's eating it up. And the fans, as Boston fans have been known to do, if you lay it all out there on the line and you play hard and you kind of embrace the culture and embrace the city and embrace what it means to be a Celtic, then they're going to love you. And I think that's where Porzingis is finding out. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, but again, for what happened, who he was, where he was, situations, sometimes it's not, New York, Dallas wasn't ever a good fit there with Luka. You're cast off into hell in Washington, but it's less about the bad stops along the way and why it didn't work for him. It's just, you have those guys in those moments and you've got one here with Porzingis. And the second they get here, you're like, this guy should have been here all along. Like within 10 seconds of Kevin Garnett being here, you're like, this guy should have been a Celtic his whole life. It was automatic. It felt like he was, like he's literally been bleeding green his whole life. Bill Walton, same thing. And he's the epitome of he's the original happy to be here guy. He got here and he was he was one of the happiest dudes who ever lived, but he had a rough go. He had some serious injuries. He was battling it. He'd almost quit. He was battling depression. He didn't know if he wanted to play anymore. And he just gets rejuvenated. He comes here. He plays with Larry. He has this thing. He's got the city, ear to ear grin, sixth man of the year. And you felt like Bill Walton had been a Celtic his entire life. And Porzingis has that vibe too. The second he stepped through the door, it just fit perfectly. So he's been awesome. It's so much fun. Poor Dinkus. Jimmy's
yeah. And by the way, and it is on video, so I can't deny it, but I didn't call him that.
No, I just said I hear he's got a reputation of it.
Yeah, isn't he? This is actually before they traded for him. This was at the trade deadline.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah,
we were talking about guys the Celtics could potentially trade for at the deadline. So this was the season prior. I was like, I don't know. I heard he's like kind of a dink. And that was the end of it. But hand up. Well, if we're doing apology cams, John, since you did one earlier, I can say it. I'll say it. Yeah, I was wrong. I apologize for believing the rumors and the fake news media that Porzingis was a quote-unquote dink.
Double apology cam show.
Double apology cam tonight. See, we're all people say we don't apologize for things, John.
We're
Hand
accountable.
up. Hand up.
We're
That's
not
on me for listening to those stupid rumors and not waiting and experiencing it for myself.
We're not Bruins management. We're gonna,
No.
we're accountable. Apology accepted.
There it is. Dink cam. Thank you, Latanya.
Dink cam. I don't know where this is. Can oh, there it is. Get it out of there. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, another guy who, again, whether he was meant to be a Celtic or not, he is a Celtic, and he's been a great one. 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
Won it the other day. And again, best contract in the NBA and what you're getting out of Peyton Pritchard. I do want to get to Cornette and Hauser because I'm definitely slightly concerned.
I like this. Walrus.
That's how we roll, Jimmy.
Yeah.
He could have been a dink, and now he's
time.
not a dink.
Yeah.
We're talking about Pritchard. He's not a dink. Pritchard's another guy. It's another guy. I don't know I did a show with Bobby after he won 6th man of the year, a quick one. I just never saw this for him. I always thought the ceiling was like maybe a role player, regular season, expendable.
100%.
Yeah, never saw it. He's been great. Here's Pritchard after the game talking about both the 6th man of the year stuff, which again he held a press conference earlier too, and Porzingis's bloody heroics.
From getting the trophy and the 6th man of the year stuff to then playing a game.
Not really, because I feel like I didn't really allow myself to really enjoy it yet. Maybe after the season, after we do this journey in the playoffs, then I'll sit down and really enjoy it. But my mind is just on competing and trying to win these games now.
When did you guys find out Jason wouldn't be able to go?
Close to the game time.
What was your reaction to just KP's blood and kind of another UFC moment?
Yeah, he loves it. He loves UFC, so I was like, this is perfect. This is fitting for him.
Did you were you kind of shocked though by the amount of blood? It seemed like there was a lot more than the Suns game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, he just took a shot to the face, was leaking, and came back out, and the crowd loved it. He loved it, so perfect.
Jalen was obviously limited at the stretch of the regular season, missed the final few games. What has been your perspective of just what he's done to ramp up his body, get ready for the playoffs, and be able
Professional. I mean, he takes care of himself. I mean, you can just look at him and know that he's in good shape always. So he was dealing with a nagging injury. He stayed ready. Kind of took the rest of the regular season off the last 3 or 4 games or something like that. But he looked good tonight.
How do you feed off that? Just seeing him, especially after what he's been through the last month, be out there and contribute.
He's a high-level player, top of the game, so he brought it tonight, and he's ready to full throttle now.
Did you feel like he set a tone early? I mean, what was your perspective just watching him at the very start of the game?
I thought he was aggressive. He was getting to his spots. He obviously made tough shots, but he was getting, they couldn't stop him. So, and we needed it tonight. We needed every bucket he gave us. So it was a big win.
Yeah, what was the collective mindset knowing you were without Jason?
Just find a way to win.
Over the course of the year, Joe says to us all the time, I'm sure you too, about finding different ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, JT tonight, it seemed like the Magic were playing kind of the style they wanted, but you guys were still able to kind of find a way. How do you think those experiences throughout the year, random nights, kind of prepared you for those type of things?
Well, I feel like if you're trying to win a championship, you need a lot of depth. You can't rely on just starters. So, injuries happen. It's a high-level intensity games in the playoffs, so stuff happens. So guys got to step up, and you got to get these types of wins tonight.
That in one layup you had towards the end of the game, do you take extra pride in those kinds of plays? I know obviously you hit a lot of threes, but those kinds of physical that's below the basket.
I was just glad I hit it because I think I missed my first 2 layups that were bunnies. So I was frustrated about those. So at least I hit the one that mattered most.
Was the bench talking to you from Orlando?
Mo Wagner, he played with us, so we have a relationship. But he likes to talk a lot. He's always talked, but that's my guy.
Along those lines, KCP seems like he was trying to be a little bit of an agitator too. What do you think of like him and Al getting into it?
It's the playoffs, baby. That's what it is. So we knew what they were gonna do, and that's what I told Al after. I'm like, it's just fun. This is basketball now.
You guys surprised by Drew Holiday's dunk that kind of came out of nowhere?
No, I'm not surprised. I've seen it plenty of times. I think maybe the crowd is because they ain't seen it in a long time. But I mean, that was easy. So it's obviously he's capable of doing that way more.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Holiday dunk because I love that. That was, he's going to his left, down the lane, and typically that's one of those like, oh, he's gonna scoop it with the left hand and miss type of thing, and he just decides to go up and power it with two hands, and I was like, oh, because you don't see it. It's like, what the hell? Why are you shooting these cute little lefty, lay-ins when you've got that? Like, let's see the springs. So that was a good moment. Pritchard also talked about the Magic talking. We've got a little back and forth here. We're going to hear from the Magic locker room, as well as what Al Horford thought of the KCP play, and whether or not it was intentional or, oh, geez, I don't know. I didn't whatever. Oh, we got, I'm sorry. We got Jalen. We're going to get to Jalen
your
first.
Knee. To come out and have this game, to play the way you did, do you feel any sort of like vindication or satisfaction or anything like that, knowing that the plan that you had in place seems to be working and you had this performance to win a playoff game?
What's the question?
Do you feel any kind of personal satisfaction or vindication that the thing worked?
No, why would I? It's another game to be played.
Jalen, you talk pretty often about just fast starts, wanting to kind of, impose your physicality on the other team. Obviously, game one, you kind of talked about just watching a little bit at the beginning. I guess, how did tonight kind of go? You got off to a fast start. And how did that kind of set the tone for the rest of the night?
Yeah, I mean, it was a physical game all night long. For me, just getting my jumper going, I think that kind of opened some stuff up. And just, playing the game, that's it, getting to my spots. It come down to it. It was just, making plays for my team. It wasn't too many X's and O's. It just came down to making plays. I think going into the next game, we got to find ways to improve the efficiency of our offense a little bit. And I think we'll look at that and see which ways we can get better at like 10 or 15 possessions where we had some, some wasted possessions. But great effort from our team to pull out a win.
Good. Jalen, how in general do you approach games when Jason's not going to play, when you know he's not going to be out there with you, and how specifically did that affect your mindset going into tonight's game and your plan?
Just no different. Obviously, JT is, the offensive leader of our team. We all kind of play off of him, but, any given night, I could, rise to the occasion. I just do what the team needs me to do. I've taken that mentality, and I think sometimes people, think that's like the only thing that you can do. So, tonight I got lucky, I guess, but we'll be ready for the next one.
Why do you say you got lucky tonight?
I mean, made some shots, some tough baskets, but we got to be better for game 3.
Joe said that you went up to him yesterday and said, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win tomorrow. What kind of compelled you to do that, and what did that look like for you on the court?
I mean, it's the playoffs. What am I supposed to say? Was I supposed to say something different?
No, but he just said you made a point of coming up to him. It sounded like something that doesn't usually happen, that you went up and just said, hey, tomorrow night I'm doing whatever it takes.
Yes, sir.
So what does that look like for you on the court?
That's every night. You know what I mean? It's the playoffs. It's win or go home. We got a lot of people that, cheering for us. It's a lot of people around the organization that put a lot of energy and effort in every single night. It's whatever it takes.
Jalen, do you and the guys inside the locker room take exception to Orlando thinking they can beat you guys with physicality?
We should, yeah. I think so. And Orlando's a good team. I give credit to them. They play hard and they don't go away. And they are very physical and they're a good defensive team. So we do
we do get up for that challenge. But yeah, we got to stay in the fight. And on the road, it's going to be even more of a test. So tonight we did enough, but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. So, we got to be able to adjust and adapt quickly and get ready for game 3. Every game has its own story. This game was one, last game was another story, and the next one's going to be something else. We just got to be the ones telling that story rather than the ones watching it or listening to it.
And then the legend of Kristaps continues to grow. Joe, partially joking, said I love watching him bleed on the court. What does that do for you guys when he has those moments?
That's great. It's a great sign. KP battled all night. He had physical possessions, timely baskets, and he probably left a couple baskets that he had on the table. But he came out and competed, and that's what we want to see. So even through injury, even through blood everywhere, I feel like that fires KP up even more. So we're looking to get him going on these road games because I feel like he can change the series at any point in time. He didn't shoot the ball well tonight. He was 0 for 5 from 3, but we know how good of a shooter he is. So trying to find ways to get him going on the road would be key.
Jalen, we've heard a lot from your teammates about your Warriors mindset. How would you describe what that is to those of us that just kind of hear that term but don't necessarily know exactly what that means? Kristaps has referred to you with that a couple of times.
It's just faith, consistency, hard work pays off. It's just something I've lived by since the beginning. I think my first interview with Boston, I said I was going to go to war for this city, and I don't think nothing has changed. So whatever it takes every single night, you leave it out there and you hope for the best.
And there it is, Jaylen Brown coming off a huge night tonight, 36 points. Huge, leading the way, 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 of 7 threes, 41 minutes. That was another huge thing. There's something big too. Another huge thing that we didn't talk about. Putting forth the 41 minutes was impressive. And again, they get asked a lot about the physics.
Mm-hmm.
He's brushing. He's gonna keep brushing off the knee stuff, and I get that. And that's good. That's what he should do there. But they keep getting prodded on the physicality stuff. And again, like I said, we'll get back to Jalen because we're going to talk with Noah and Bobby when they jump on the show here. But we're also going to hear from the Magic because they keep getting asked about it, and they're whatever, man, we're tough sort of kind of mindset to it, and they're going to cry. So as I said, we are going to get to that as well. First off, we do want to tell you about our pals over at Game Time. And again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You create an account, use code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, and that's all you got to do. You want to get in and check out games. There it is right there. Game Time, whether it's games, whether it's concerts, doesn't matter. Game Time is the place for you to get in and see the Celtics on their journey to Banner 19. It is the playoffs right now, and this is what you're going to need. You're going to need some help getting in there. Game Time's got it all in pricing, so there's no hidden fees at checkout, panoramic views from your seats, get best price guarantee up to 110% the value of anything that you find a better deal, because you're not going to find one, and really great deals as you get closer to game time or to the start of your show, up to 60% off in discounts. Really, really, really smart to get involved here. So once again, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS, and $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, and let's check it out. Let's see what we got here. Let me get that out of there. Let me get you out of here, and I'm put you on here. This is Orlando. Anyone want to go to Orlando?
Sure. You want to send me?
Sure. It's school vacation week for those of you in
that's cool.
in Massachusetts. And why don't you take your kids down to Disney World and check out a game?
Yeah. Go to Disney World, disappear for a few hours, let the wife end up at like Universal with the kids, and you just go, and
just sneak out to a game. See, or
go
you
for
stay,
a walk.
You stay with your kids and send your wife to the game. It doesn't matter, but you can check it out here, or you go to the game. whatever it is, decent tickets you can have here if you want to go to Orlando. That's what you're looking at here. Is there going to be a Game 5 in Boston? I don't know, Jimmy. Probably not, but we'll see.
Not if my prediction comes true.
Not if your prediction comes true. So again, check it out with Game Time. Download that app and get involved in the action today. We talked about the feistiness. Al Horford asked about the physicality. Here's what he had to say, and let me get Game Time out of here. We're going to stop sharing.
We do like Game
even
Time,
though sharing is
it's
caring.
over.
And here's what we're looking at here with Al. To Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe, also co-host of the Big Three podcast, you can see here on the CLNS Media Network, asked whether was it intentional? Yeah, it was. He told the Globe, starting to run the break, and he got into me there and impeded my progress. Bang. That's Washburn's tweet on the screen here. So Al, feisty as you don't see Al like this. Even Al at practice,
Getting angry in his old age.
at practice yesterday, Al absolutely thought that the KP thing on Tatum was extra spicy on purpose and said he'd been trying to go hard at him all game long, and it was leading up to that, and they let it go. That's what pisses me off too. I said this with Bobby yesterday too. When you let them play, you let them keep pushing the envelope and how far they can go. And that's
Right.
that's when people get hurt. So I don't mind. You got two superstar teams both going at it, and they both have a lot to lose. Oh, really? Only the Celtics have something to lose here. If you're going to let Orlando bully them, Orlando's not going anywhere. They're going home. Okay. They're done.
Right.
They're done playing basketball. What's going to happen? You're going to knock stars out of the playoffs. So while I don't mind letting people play a little bit, and clearly the NBA sent out a memo at the beginning of the playoffs, like, let's swallow those whistles a little. It's gotten stupid, and it's mucking up the game a little bit too much right now. There's a ton of hand checking, grabbing, and then it's weird because late in the game they start calling it more tightly. So right now it's a mess, but they thought that this was intentional. Here's the Magic talking about the physicality.
You know, we're out competing. You know, it's physical. It's the playoffs that come with it. You know, KCP just happened to be in it, but it could be any of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. You know, it happened last year. You know, we love that though. You know, that's the playoffs. That's the best part of the year, in my opinion, because you know, you're getting the crowd involved. You know, it's a lot of fun in my opinion. So, you know, we'll be fine.
It's a playoff series. Anytime teams just continue to go head to head against each other, you know what I'm saying, could potentially 7 straight games. I mean, there's going to be some touches. There's going to, you know what I'm saying, be some physicality. But, I mean, that's playoff basketball. I mean, both teams will win. And, you know, they just think it's part of the emotions of the game.
You guys talked about embracing that over the last couple of days. Yeah.
I mean, we know what type of team we have. We haven't shied away from any type of scuffle or, you know what I'm saying, anything like that. So, I mean, that's just who we are as a team. And, you know, we'll continue to play like that and, you know, try to get it.
This ain't the octagon, boys.
Jimmy, I have a question for you. Is there a team out there that doesn't think it's tough? You know, oh, that's how we play. We're tough. You know who's tough? Bobby Manning's tough.
Bobby, speaking of tough.
Bobby Manning's tough. He's in there. He's asking the tough questions.
So tough. I was about to go to a second round with KCP. I was getting nervous going back for round 2, but I didn't see him.
Yeah. Why nervous? Is he mad?
Don't be nervous, Bobby.
He's got his eye on you.
I don't
He's
think.
a fake tough
I don't
guy.
think
He's
he
a
would have
fake
been.
tough guy.
I don't think he would have been thrilled to see me again.
Oh,
but,
you poked at him?
Yeah.
Why did you hurt Jason?
Bobby, I feel like you get that a lot, though. You must be used to that by now.
Listen, someone's got to do the dirty work. Celtics did it tonight.
Yeah.
This is crazy, guys. I mean, you're always talking about what a championship team looks like, John. And to me, you know, the first thing I think of when you say that, what's that look like, is a team that can just win any type of game, figure out how to win a game that it doesn't seem like they should win, play whatever style that they need to. You know, we've seen this team go up and down with Indiana. Now we're seeing them in the lowest of the pace, most brutal physicality, and just absolute slog of a game thrive. And I was so impressed in this game because they got beat up. But, you know, there's a million examples you can point to in this game where they're on the ground or there's blood everywhere or There's just more tensions flaring. And all they did in this game was just walk to the free throw line, hit 25 of them, and ride that to a win. And they never really got knocked off their spot. They're smiling as they get up. That was such a great moment. And, I'll call it an all-time moment, John, here. I don't think anyone's going to forget that one anytime soon, the Kristaps game here. Special stuff, emotional stuff, too. It was a real emotional moment in the Garden here, too, when that happened. And
Jimmy cried.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I was welling up a little bit, too. It was awesome. And, I love the
You're
comments
joking,
when
but
you
you're
guys-
serious.
I'm serious. You guys heard him say it. He hasn't played many games here, right? In the playoffs, period. And it's still so crazy to think about how beloved, how endeared he's been because he just hasn't been available very much. And it's because when he is available, you get this. And there's a connection, there's a productivity. I mean, he bounced back so well in this game, too, from just an awful game one. And I've said it a million times this year. I think they need him. I don't think they can do it without him this year. And so you're hoping he stays healthy. As long as it's stitches that are going to hold him together, that's fine. And he continues to be effective on both ends. And the defense has been great for him, especially. They slid a little bit when he came off the floor to get those stitches. He came back out there and solidified that end. And, John, I feel like it's the defense that's getting it done for them more than the offense, obviously, right? They haven't scored a ton of points, but they've shut down the Magic.
We talked about it earlier. The Celtics, that's where they matched the physicality. They decided that we're going to play that way too. That's how you trigger your physicality, right, Bobby? It's not like just absorbing punishment. Where can you dish it out? You go back at them. If the refs are going to let you play a little bit, then be physical. And you've got the guys who can do it. You've got Holiday. You've got Brown. You've got guys.
Holiday's been so great.
Holiday's been amazing defensively. And I thought Jalen played one of his better defensive games recently. And he's matched up on Banchero, and he's much more focused and physical there. And they were tough, man. They weren't playing that passive style of defense, which is, maybe they conceded a few threes and that's fine, but they were really aggressive. They were up on the ball carriers. They were pressuring them. They were really active. They were fighting through screens. Even when you had guys like Pritchard, when he'd switch up onto Banchero, he was bodying him and trying to keep and doing a pretty good job trying to keep him from getting downhill. I thought across the board, the guys who played the majority of their minutes, Al was great too. Really, 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 really dug in on the defensive end. So I agree 100%. I thought this was one of their
some offensive
tougher
physicality
games
too.
Yeah.
You think of offensive rebounding early. That's where they built their advantage in this game in the first quarter. And then at the end of the game, and not that there was much doubt at that point, they're up 9, but Pritchard stuck under the basket. Magic are hitting a bunch of shots in that fourth. And if he doesn't score there, the play where he powered through Carter and got the and one, there's at least a chance the Magic make it interesting over the last couple minutes there, but that slammed the door. He's been great. The guard play across the board has just been the biggest mismatch in this series. The Magic are getting nothing from their guys. KCP, a complete zero in this game. Corey Joseph doesn't really do anything for them right now. And then Anthony Black can't score at all, so you got Holiday, you got White, who hit the 2 big threes in the fourth, and then you have Pritchard doing what he's doing coming off the bench. That's where this series is completely lopsided. The Magic just don't have anything there, and I think that's been the biggest reason that the Celtics have had a slight edge in this series. And I don't know how it's going to go down in Orlando. I'm always interested to see how a series shifts, when it goes to the other side. This one's been close enough to at least keep my mind open to something interesting happening here. But I think, Jimmy, you predicted the 4, right?
I did.
This could end up being the Pacers style 4, where it's 4 really interesting games, 4 tough games to win, but 4 games nonetheless, and then you move on. So
yeah,
I'm not feeling as great about 6, obviously, now, but you do see how the Magic have made it tough for them, quarter to quarter, minute to minute.
Yeah, I mean, we said it, like, this is going to be annoying, but
we said it was good.
I love it. I'm loving this series so far. You got the tensions, you got the villain. I was saying going into the Garden before game 1, Tom, I was like, there's no villain in this series. It's tough to play it up. It's tough to do the man on the streets without that. And then boom, first game, you get the villain there. And I love Al playing it up, right? Everyone around it is saying, oh, it's just basketball. It's blah, blah, blah. But Al, again, to Gary tonight, said it was another intentional act by KCP. And I love that KCP embraced it. There was no apology earlier. There was no, oh, you're sorry. It was, that's who I am. That's how I'm going to play. That's how I'm going to continue to play. And that's what he did tonight too. Dreadful game from him. But a bunch of more hard fouls and a team that just wants to rock you off your spot. And they've, as you guys heard a couple minutes ago there, continued to embrace it even after 2 games, after 2 losses here. They're like, that's who we are. That's what we have to do. I don't think it's been super effective, but it's a good test for the Celtics. And I love it, Jimmy. I think if they win the championship against some of the tougher defenses down the line, I do think you'll look back at this series and say, "Oh, this prepared them well for those moments later."
That's what we said earlier in the show, right, John? We basically said, kind of the perfect opponent for the first round, a team that you can beat, but a team that kind of snaps you out of that like regular season lull that this team had. Sorry, Bobby, see you later. That this team had in the last, I would say, a couple months of the regular season. Just being where they were, seed wise, and just making sure that they were healthy going into the playoffs. But you have a first round, you kind of get literally punched in the face, I guess, when the playoffs start here. And again, not against a team that is better than you by any stretch. They're not even close, but a team that forces you to play hard in ways that you don't typically have to is really what it is. So preparing you for those future matchups that you are going to need to have the physicality with, but also you're going to need more offense. And I think Bobby mentioned it, that these have been like more defensive wins here. At some point, the offense from a whole team standpoint has to click. It might not be in this series, but I think at some point it's going to have to, because you're getting it from a player here and a player there, but we're not seeing, at least not yet, those games that we saw when Boston really looked like one of the best offenses in the NBA, when they were whipping the ball around, when they were making that extra play, when the shots were going down, and when they were playing, when they were getting up and down the court too. So not a concern. It's just the way that they're still winning the game the way it needs to be won. It's just not the way that we've seen it often.
Shout out Mike Hoffman, former NBC Sports Boston employee, looking for Bailey. Bailey's behind the scenes, Hoff.
Oh,
he's hanging out.
Hoff in the building.
He's hanging out. Bailey's running the show behind the scene. Bailey Kennedy, one of our new producers.
Hoff's
here.
working like 3 fantasy baseball teams right now, I'm sure.
What the hell?
Probably winning them all too. He was doing fantasy hockey too. I was like, I can't do fantasy hockey.
Yeah. Bailey can only show his face after they win, like Amit reluctantly did last year. Yeah, he's weeping over the T-Wolves. He is a little sensitive about the T-Wolves. There's no question about that. We're going to bring back Bobby and Noah into the fray here and let them take it away, guys. Noah,
look who the cat dragged in.
We heard a little bit from Bobby, but your primary thoughts on tonight's win.
I think this was one of the most fun games I've ever covered. I don't know if it's just maybe it's early in the playoffs and maybe a little. But
I tweeted the same thing. Favorite game of the year.
Yeah, crowd was awesome. Crowd was 10 out of 10. And then just there were so many moments between the Porzingis bleeding incident that just kind of like infuses life into this building. I think just Tatum being out makes it so that this win felt more meaningful. There was a little bit of adversity they had to overcome. He's their guy. He's their focal point. And so I thought it was impressive that they were able to pull out a win against the good Magic team still, and never really, like, they always had that 9 or 10 point cushion, which is part of why the vibe in here was always really good, because I think they, if it's a 1 point game, you sense a lot more anxiety in the building. But big takeaway, I think, is Jaylen Brown. Like, we were all so concerned about him heading into the postseason and what were we going to expect and what we're going to see. And obviously it's one game. Like, he was asked off the top, like, is it vindication? Like, no, it's just game 2, but just a amazing performance when they really needed it.
Another Finals MVP.
That was wild. I don't know what that was.
But I'll say that question was answered more respectfully than any of your questions, Bobby, and I don't really fully understand that. Is he on his way to Finals MVP?
I don't know what that was, but I mean, if you just look at, like, what did he finish with? 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists.
He almost had a Tatum
and
game.
I thought the most impressive part of his game was that he was 5 of 7 from 3. And when he hit those 2 threes to start the third quarter, we've watched Jaylen Brown forever. He likes to keep going until now. He's missed a few. So does Tatum. That's just the nature of, like, the way that he check. And he didn't force one shot in that stretch. A couple of times he could have forced another 3-pointer, and instead he kicked it to Al, kicked it to Derek. And to get hot and to not have that stop your team's offense was so huge. So they needed him today. I know he relishes the opportunity to show that he can be that guy. And that's the big story here, I think, is just what he was able to do. And I thought Tatum was going to play. So I was a little bit surprised when we never even saw any signs of him until the game started.
I'll be interested to see how long they hold him out here, because I think tonight they tested a concept that they could potentially be better without him and get him more time and rest and treatment here. And so maybe that sets him up for a Game 3 return, but maybe it also proves the point that they can get by in this series. And I think you said that, and many feel that way, that they could probably replicate the same performance that they'd be capable of with Tatum in this series, and prevent more bruising, or just get the treatment that he needs here, whatever needs to be done there. I'd probably lean towards seeing him in Game 3, but you did see the wrap there. Saw him in the hallway after. It didn't look like there was too much there in terms of big wrap or anything like that. But I do find it curious that he missed this game, because all we've heard, right, is pain tolerance, right? Play through it. Can you just handle the pain and be effective through it? If that was all this was, I don't know why he doesn't play this game.
Well, what we do know about him is that he hates missing games that mean nothing, and he's never missed a playoff
And
game.
it seems so solidified, right? He didn't even try.
Yeah, he didn't warm up. He wasn't even in the locker room.
He
Until
didn't
close
show up
before
at the
game.
usual time he does. It was a very weird way how they just shut him down for this.
Yeah,
game.
I think it made it pretty obvious that it was not really an option. Like, I think if it was an option, he would have played. And pain tolerance doesn't mean that he's like, oh, I don't want to feel the pain. It means that the pain might literally prohibit him from doing the things that he needs to do to be effective. There's nothing I hate more than watching a guy hurt the team because they have to play through injury. And I think I was happy.
Does that change 2 days from now?
Well, not anymore, because now they have a 2-0 lead. I think if they lose this game, there's a ton of pressure on him coming back to Game 3. But I don't think that they feel a ton of pressure right now. Maybe they drop Game 3 and they say, we really need him back for Game 4. But, they're in a pretty good spot right now.
So you think he could miss Game 3 too?
He could. I mean, again, I didn't think this was like, I didn't tweet this out because I didn't want to act like I knew something, but I was sure he was going to play today. I think I texted you, I was very surprised to see. So I'm not going to try to predict what's next for him. I do know that bad mood that he was in after Game 1 that we all sense, that he's in a huge bummer mood after a playoff win.
Yeah.
Now we understand why that is, because I think he knew deep down that this injury was maybe going to have some longer term consequences than we realized in that moment.
Yeah. A lot of ramifications. No more videos in the hallway either.
I don't think we were ever allowed to take videos in the hall. I think people just didn't realize.
They've made it very clear now with big signs and on every corner that you can't take videos in that area where we saw him and his mom.
Which would have come into effect today, because apparently there was blood all over the halls.
Yeah, no, we didn't get the Porzingis.
No
TikTok
Porzingis blood. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have filmed it.
Let me ask you guys this, because Jimmy and I were kicking it around earlier. Back to the Jalen conversation. Did you think, and Noah, you mentioned he didn't do the heat check stuff, which I thought was good because it was good discipline there. He did have it going. And 5 of 7, you don't see a lot of those types of nights from Brown, certainly not this season. So he did have it going. He could have absolutely forced the issue, didn't, which was great. The two things that stood out to me the most were just he had the ball on a string, but I thought with his hesitation moves to the basket, and he had guys really kind of on roller skates there. I know a couple of them were switches and guys who were going to have a difficult time staying with him no matter what. But even still, I felt like most of those games we saw where he was trying to force the issue and play through the pain late in the season, he had a really difficult time getting around anybody. It didn't matter if he got a switch and he got the ISO that he wanted. It felt like he was just trying to force his way around them, and he couldn't get where he wanted to go at all. And I felt like here, the hesitation and the movement to get free, I felt like even when he was scoring into those games late, they were tough contested shots where he had to rise up with people draped all over him or make a very tough lefty finish. And here he was getting places without people draped all over them. He was getting around people. He was getting separation on his pullbacks. And even compared to the Phoenix game, and I think it was the Washington game late in the year where he had a nice looking box score. Even, I think back then you were like, yeah, he was, the numbers look good, but he kind of still looked the same-ish to me. Did you guys think physically we saw a different person tonight? I did for sure. Yeah.
For sure. And there's one play, I forget who he stole the ball from, but there was a steal.
That was great.
That was like a thunderous moment here. That's like playoff Jaylen Brown. We think about the marquee moments against Luka, against whoever. Like, you could feel that, 2 weeks ago, I think that would have been a layup, and he probably wouldn't have gotten the steal either. So I don't know if he's just playing through it a little bit more. I don't know if it's the injections. If I had to guess one thing, it's probably the injections that have helped. time has passed a little bit as well. He did rest for that week or so at the end of the season. So it could be a confluence of things, but he might not say it's vindication. I think it's a little bit vindication for now. Maybe
There's a long road ahead. Yeah.
Yay, science. We're happy. The injections worked. I love the finger roll too. But I thought he looked like a different guy. And if that's so, the thing Jimmy and I were talking about earlier, you talk about mood, right? Mood following the Tatum game. And Bobby was all over this. Like Tatum didn't seem right, and I really thought he kind of had this locked in. Like there's something wrong here. They said negative and Joe's saying he's fine. I don't, something's wrong. And then Joe the next day, well, we don't know day to day. And then you hear the
Joe
bone
was
bruise
avoiding
thing.
questions about it after the game too.
He's still avoiding it. Yeah.
You could just say it was like close to game time. I don't know why that was interesting.
It's very clear the way that they managed it today that it was never playing. He was never playing.
Yeah, I mean,
very clear. They didn't even attempt it.
I don't know that he can shoot with that wrist right now. Like,
yeah.
That's why I worry about the next game.
Yeah. So mood was,
why my panic
Tatum's banged up. And if they're now if he's banged up and Jalen's banged up, like not this series, I still think you can probably gut it out. But
you know,
now your long-term prospects are gone. That's the other thing here. Now after this game, seeing Brown look like Brown, and thinking, well, if you got to survive a little bit, and all of the Twitter doctors went to work and said the bone bruise in the wrist is the type of thing that's going to probably go away sooner than a knee situation would be, because it's not the constant pounding and impact and this, that, and again, we don't know the exact injury there. But if he can come back even in a week to 2 weeks closer to himself, if it's a pain tolerance thing, but he's going to feel fine. All of a sudden you're like, okay, huge sigh of relief. But I feel so much better about everything just having watched Jalen look like Jalen, even though Tatum is currently hurt and you don't know when he's coming back. My general vibe around the team and their long-term prospects improved tremendously just watching Brown look like Brown tonight. And as you guys just pointed out, the 41 minutes as well is like, oh, legit. No, because even last game, 30 minutes on the button, so it's like, what are we doing here?
Biggest thing I was looking for.
What are we doing here? Is he limited or not? And this is the first indication where you're like, he's not.
Yeah.
And that's a huge change in terms of the overall outlook. And I know a lot of people were like, I was never worried, but like you should have been worried until you see it. You had to wonder. And this, I think, helps to allay a lot of people's concerns in terms of
this defense.
Them and this team. And it was great. It was great.
And
even if he didn't score as efficiently as he did, just how he moved, I was so heartened by it. But yeah,
I think the movement was night and day from, I'm thinking back to that Madison Square Garden game. That was the peak of the panic. And even myself, I think I never had qualms with how he managed it, but like I was realistic about what the knee situation might look like. That game had you wondering like what version of him are you going to see in the playoffs. Two other things, I don't know if I'm sure you guys touched on it because you guys have been on for a while, but two other things that I think answer some questions around the postseason. I know a lot of people had concerns about Peyton Pritchard being effective against good defenses and against playoff defenses. I thought last game, obviously, he had a hot shooting game. This game, he missed a bunch of bunnies. He said post-game, I asked him about the layup. He said, I missed literally at the rim. He found a way to be really effective, I thought, on both ends. And it wasn't like one of his best stat lines. I don't even know what he finished with, maybe 14 or so you guys have that up there. But I thought that he had his imprints all over this game. And
shots. The blast one was so big too.
Yeah, and there was a question of like who's gonna get minutes. I saw people on Twitter like, is Baylor Shireman or Torrey Craig gonna get minutes? I knew that was never gonna happen in this game. Peyton Pritchard was a lot of who had to pick up some of the minutes and some of the load and some of those late game minutes that, because Tatum was out. And I thought that he stepped right into that job. And then the other one is Drew Holiday, who just physically, there were questions around, has he regressed since last year? I don't really feel those concerns. I felt like when he needed to drive for the basket, he was able to.
He's
defensively.
The same guy. He's the same guy. He's been the same guy.
Jalen was like, you guys talk about the regular season with Drew, it's the playoffs. And I feel like it wasn't necessarily at us, but I feel like we've all had thoughts about like, is he going to be able to step up? And I do think he's been conserving energy a little bit. So thinking long-term, like those things as well make me optimistic for this team's ability to maybe deal with Tatum missing a few games here.
Yeah, and it might be for the better, right? Because Tatum's return could be disruptive. And I think you make a good point about how they had the room for error and it could have been worse if he went out there and wasn't himself. Brown, you see it again. I'll go back to a big thing I was on early this season, the full first quarter. That's where he can gain the rhythm
He loves it,
shooting.
yeah.
That's where he can find the momentum to carry through a big offensive performance over the course of a game. You don't see him have many 30, 40-point games when he's in that second banana roll that Tatum there. So if he can continue that over another game, 2 more games here, you build a 3-0 lead, or you sweep this series, and then all of a sudden there's a whole runway up to the next series for Tatum. That's probably a good way to handle this. Now, I don't think he's going to like that. I think there's a very good chance he's back next game just because he wants to be back out there as quickly as possible. But you can see a world where he comes back, and if the shot's not there and all of a sudden the ball's in his hands a ton and Brown's not able to orchestrate the offense like this, it actually could be a little disruptive going on the road here, having him return to the lineup after what they did tonight. So I'm going to be very curious to see how they handle this.
I doubt it would be disruptive. I think ultimately, like there's still less pressure on Jalen with Tatum out on the floor. He took 17 shots in this game, so it's not like his usage went way up because of the fact that Tatum was out. So,
insanely efficient game.
yeah,
for him.
I think the biggest change, and I don't know if this is long term going to sustain, but he's shooting 50% from 3 in April, and we've talked about it all year. Like this has been the worst 3-point shooting season of his career.
Ever since the injury, he's been shooting pretty efficient.
Yeah, not the first little stint after the injury, he was terrible. Like he was 25%, and then he missed some time, came back midway through that Western Conference road trip, and then since then he's just been on fire, and that's what's really helped him. Like even when he wasn't able to move that well, he was still able to put up points because suddenly he was like a 3-point shooter. So I don't know if we can count on that for the whole run, but that's been like a big part of his success.
Yeah, 36 points on 19 shots. Incredible, incredibly efficient night from Jaylen Brown. We're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit more about Jalen. We do have to tell the folks at home not about Kristaps, but about these guys. LinkedIn. Who here's got a job to post? Anybody? Bailey, throw up the LinkedIn lower third, would you? I can't find it. Anybody?
Do we have a job to post?
There it is. I found it. Do you have a job to post? As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. And that hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. I use it. It's how I found Bobby. Is that how I found you, Bobby? No. I think Bobby was.
No, Ahmed was from LinkedIn.
Ahmed we found on the Garden Report, and Bobby.
That's what I thought. I was like,
Bobby,
what?
I think Nick adopted when he was like 3. So Bobby's been part of the CLNS family for a long time.
Have you ever hired somebody with LinkedIn?
We have hired plenty of people with LinkedIn. It's super easy to do. And if you are hiring, all you have to do, you post your job. You get qualified candidates, obviously, based on LinkedIn's data. 72% of small businesses use it, and that's where they get the majority of their applications. You get to share within your network and let your entire network know that you're hiring, and then you get a lot of referrals, which is really excellent. And we get a lot of candidates coming in that way. And find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. All you have to do, if you want to post your job for free, go to linkedin.com/garden. That's linkedin.com/garden to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. I also have to tell people about this, Jimmy Toscano.
Yes.
What do we have going on at the store?
There it is. The promo code tonight is 14 more. You guys can do the math.
Why
and
14,
figure out
Jimmy?
Why that is. 14 more. 16 minus 2. 14 more wins.
It's going to get hard soon.
I know. This one's
Once
easy.
Jimmy gets to around 11, it's bad.
Forget it. I have to start carrying the 1 and all this stuff.
A lot of finger
forget it.
counting.
But guys, take a look. Take a look at this graphic here. We've got fresh merch on the store right now. We've got hoodies, multiple colors. We've got the new logo tee. Yes, Noah, that is correct. You are on the new logo tee. We got string bags. You can put your gear in the bags. We got beanies. You'll also see something on there that looks like a sleep mask. It's because it is. We're selling sleep masks now. I got that. Sleep mask is going to be my new helmet, baby. The thing is, we don't have the sleep mask for sale yet. They are still being shipped to our supplier, and we don't want to sell them yet and have people be waiting on them. So as soon as they hit our supply shop, we will give them to you guys. But the thing behind the sleep mask is, so we do the hard hats for the big wins, the big fun games, and you show up. The sleep masks are the ones where either the team fell asleep,
The snooze
sleep
fest.
masks go on for the Tatum press conferences sometimes, hate to say it. Yeah, they go on for a bad take.
You don't
If
hate to
John's
say
just
it.
going on and on about a bad take, I'm tossing on the sleep mask. I can't listen to it. I can't
Even
see it.
even my bad takes keep your attention.
I don't think
Jimmy,
that's a good
okay?
idea for Jimmy, having him pay even less attention.
Even my bad takes are riveting.
Well, they're going to be available in case they really go off the rails. Thank you, Jason, for the hard hat love there too. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in the merch store. And if the Celtics take this thing where I think we all think they can, we might have to come out with another championship T-shirt like we did last year. A lot of people enjoyed. So
Okay,
we'll see.
All right,
Nothing
and
to
that
jump the
was
gun yet.
that was 7 minutes on the merch store by Jimmy Toscano.
It was maybe a minute after an hour and 45.
So I hate to do it, but we're this deep in the show, so I will point it out. The reverse, we talked about, is Pritchard going to be playoff Pritchard or a regular season empty calorie stat Pritchard? Is what that was kind of the version you got of him last year, and he's clearly proven that he's taken his game up a level, and he's been terrific against a team he didn't play well against in the regular season, and a team that's making it really hard on him, and they're playing him physically, and they're hunting him on switches, and he's very competitive defensively, and the refs are letting everything go, and he's getting hand checked all to shit, and he keeps fighting. So Pritchard's been phenomenal. The other two bench guys right now have been the far opposite of phenomenal. So we have to spend a minute talking about Luke Cornett being played off the floor within a minute of being on it each time he was there. And Hauser has yet to score a freaking point in the series, guys.
How many shots has he taken though? Like 2, right?
Well, that's part of the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know why he can't.
I don't know, because we've seen.
I mean, they're
guys
trying to
do it.
run all the Celtics off the 3-point line, and Hauser, obviously that's what he does, and it's been effective. But yeah, I mean, he only took, I think, 2 tonight, and I'm not sure what it was the other day. Only one attempt. So 3 attempts series, 0 for 3. That's it. But 22 minutes total, in the games, and then Luke. I mean, the last we saw him, he was basically part of a 5-point swing at the end of the third quarter, and that was it.
Yeah, I think.
And then he had to come in because KP was bleeding. KP was bleeding, but that's about it.
He might be playing his way back into a contract the Celtics can afford.
Yes.
News.
He's got the silver lining after row with. I think he's been good defensively. I think offensively there haven't been opportunities for him, and whether it's the rebounding, which is where he made a lot of that money during the year. And I forget who brought it up. One of the guests I had on last week.
He drew a couple fouls.
Playoffs. Yeah, now that's
battling
playoffs,
for rebounds, so he was fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, teams aren't going to let guys sneak through the glass the same way they might during the regular season. So I think it's fair to wonder if that part of his game is neutralized a little bit here. But offensively, I think Tatum being as off balance in that first game as they were, they never really got things going with their partnership out there. I think it's hard to get to that too, rotation-wise right now. So you really only have a half where they've been able to try that. They tried it with Jalen and him today. It definitely wasn't the same. And then the Magic just collapsed so well off the rolls that they're meeting him at the rim. They're being physical with him in there. I don't like the hook shot he threw up today. They kind of airballed. So there just haven't been a lot of opportunities for him offensively. Defensively, I like the look with Kristaps in this one. I thought that was pretty disruptive inside. I think he's made a few plays. Paolo's tried to attack him, and I think he's held up decently there too. The big thing with Paolo, he's killing them right now. He's been awesome. I've been blown away by what he's been able to do through 2 games. But, when they putting a Luke on him and when they're putting some of these switches onto Paolo, they're forcing him into the long twos. They're forcing him into some of the really difficult shots that I think they're going to live with here. And I think they're okay with Paolo going off in this series. And
If everybody else continues to do nothing, then
Yeah.
Paolo and Franz scoring efficient 30 points is fine. I've been amazed by the lack of support those 2 guys have. It's one of the most stark situations. But I think the Luke thing is a big part of his advantage is that he's played harder than everybody all year. There were so many games where the other team.
I don't think you're looking at him right now and saying, "Oh, he's done."
No, not at all. Not at all. No, and I think that he had some good moments even today. But like his gift has been his motor and how hard he's played in a lot of ways. And
Yeah, he's
it
not
is going to be
sneaking
a
up
little
on
bit
anybody.
mitigated. yeah, it's going to be a little bit mitigated. The other thing is, I think you're absolutely right. Like he needs Tatum back. Like those two guys have been so lethal together. And
But I don't know how they get to those minutes because you
Well,
have Kristaps right now. You have Al. You know, you're going a little small with Pritchard. So
well, I think Tatum's going to play like the majority of minutes, anyways.
I think the
But-
Pritchard thing's related though, because if Pritchard's going to be this, he's playing.
So this is kind of like me
going a little
versus
smaller.
you. This minutes battle.
The battle. So I think you're
I'm
going to go.
I'm 2-0 right now, just like the Celtics.
I think you're going to go smaller if Pritchard's doing this. If there's a moment where Pritchard's not as effective, you're probably loading up and going bigger. So it is a little trade off between those two. And then I think with Hauser, we're seeing that he's probably just going to kind of be a 5, 6, 7 minute per night guy in a bad matchup to, stave some wing depth in a game like this where Tatum's out, or if Tatum's in, have some stretches where there's an advantage for him and maybe he can get a couple of threes off. And that's going to be his role. It's going to be a tight rotation.
I do think you basically have 7 guys that you're comfortable playing starter minutes. And so that makes it hard for Sam and Luke / anybody else to potentially go out there because I think they've shown that Al's a starter and Pritchard has been playing starter minutes most of the season.
But with Tatum out and you go double big, you assumed Luke would take on a bigger role, and instead they went. With
I thought he was going to be great in this series.
They went with the 3 guards more often than they did double big with Luke in this one.
I wonder if
they were running double big without
a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, but it would make sense the 7 starter minutes because Pritchard's earned his, so he's going to play his full allotment. But without Tatum, I thought there'd be a chance for someone to step up, and they tried it. You could tell Joe didn't like it, and that was it. So that's the fear. That's the fear. Physical, athletic plays some of these guys off the court. The big victory out of this is if you've got Horford and Porzingis healthy, you need Luke a little bit less. And yeah, when you get Tatum back in there, you'll still be able to do some of the things that you do with that second unit there. But having Pritchard being able to survive a team like Orlando and play the way he's played in these 2 games is a huge boon, not just for these games, but looking forward, I think, without worrying that he's going to get played off the court against certain types of
teams. Are you
teams.
starting to worry that they might not get out of this series in one piece?
No.
One game, Tatum's hand falls off, and the next.
No, but I will say
hand falls off.
League-wide, the NBA is making a mistake right now because they clearly sent out a memo and said, let him play. And that's allowing shitty teams.
They didn't let him play tonight. They're like 100 free throws.
Yeah, I know, but they let a lot of stuff
foul
go.
like literally every possession.
They foul 5 times on the way to the basket and they call the 5th foul.
Yeah, right. It's like you gotta call one.
It's insane. So eventually they
try to warn Tatum going in.
You should see what's going on in the Houston Golden State game right now. It's just a wrestling match.
That was actually playing in the Celtics locker room when we were in there waiting
Jimmy
for
Butler
Pritchard,
broke his pelvis, I
really like watching.
No, but he's out with a pelvic contusion. He landed he got undercut. Thompson. Draymond Green's wrestling and body slamming people, and they're just. It's gotten stupid right now with the level of physicality that's been allowed in the early rounds.
I like watching it though. It's great to watch. This series has been so different.
It's
than any
fun.
Other. Yeah,
to watch. But no, what you were saying?
Fun is that I was gonna say I think we're watching this series hyper focused, but I totally agree with John that the physicality has been off the charts throughout the league. I thought Knicks, Pistons, every possession somebody's on the floor. I feel like somebody's gonna get hurt, and so far hasn't seemed to be anything major, with the exception being I guess Tatum missed this game, but it does feel bigger than just the Magic. But it has made I don't know that the fans would have been like they were today if the little scuffle hadn't happened. You felt like every foul, every time KCP took a shot, every time Al did anything, it was like there was so much.
Al playing it up really helped.
Al's really been playing it up.
Yeah.
So in the same way that it's like a little bit scary, it's also like it's invigorating the series, and I think the players feel too.
They have.
That's
the
thing.
like they're playing harder when they get fouled.
Jimmy will appreciate it too because he's somewhere in between Boomer, me, and the younger generation of fans. But look, what makes this stuff great and what made it's not the physicality of like the prison ball sort of 90s rules that people are romanticizing over, because the quality of that basketball was garbage, but it's the hatred and it's the bad blood. Like villains make sports more exciting than heroes. Oftentimes it's almost more important to hate the other guy as it is to love your own players, because you just want to get them and you want to stick it to them. And without allowing a little bit of that, it's hard, because if it's just like, oh, pat on the bat, pat on the butt, we all played AAU together and then we're going to go to a friggin' all white party after this, you lose a lot of that. So the one area where the boomers are right is it's too freaking friendly. And so you do need a level of physicality to bring that out there. And remember that, like, we're both fighting for the same thing, and I don't want you to have it. And
Right.
seeing people get
And
after
again,
it a
I
little
love-
bit makes a difference. Yeah.
I love even facing, the hostile crowd and criticism and Horford's comments that KCP's out there 3 minutes into this game pumping up the crowd as they're booing him. It was awesome. What a scene in here. And this series to me, even if it does go down in 4 games here, it's going to be a memorable one because I think this Magic team challenges you in some unique ways. They've developed that villain, which I didn't expect. I wouldn't have picked someone stepping.
I wouldn't have
up
picked
into that role going
KCP.
into
I've
this
never
series.
really seen that side of him.
Yeah, and then he missed
But-
every shot tonight, which
That
helped
was
all the
also
more
great.
the crowd
Yeah.
get into it.
I was seeing Magic fans saying online today this is the first time they've liked him since he signed his contract.
He's been awful. I
Because
don't
he's really had a
understand it.
disappointing shooting season, and that's what
Yeah.
they really needed. John, to your point, I don't know if you guys have caught like Damian Lillard and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
That's like the most fun thing happening in the NBA right now because
Yeah.
it's just you don't see that rivalry of two like American
Stars.
guard players who could have been in the same circuit growing up, but they weren't. I don't think, but they seem like they hate each other right now, and I feel like you don't really have like hatred yet. But Al's been kind of leaning in more than anybody. So
He did it again tonight with Gary. I loved it.
I love it. I love it. So good stuff as the Celtics defeat the Orlando Magic 109-100 to take a 2-0 series lead. Game 3, thankfully, these are stacked up quickly. We got Game 3 Friday, Game 4 Saturday. We don't know what we're going to get out of Jason Tatum, but we do know that Bobby and Noah will be headed to Orlando to cover
Nice.
those games for us, and you should keep it here with CLNS, not just at the Garden Report, but clnsmedia.com and all of the podcasts we have on our network, which you can find if you subscribe to the Celtics All Access channel on YouTube or our main channel for all of our Celtics content, which includes Noah's You Got Boston podcast, and there will be one coming out soon after this Garden Report is over. So if you want more basketball talk from Noah, make sure to check that out. A host of other great podcasts, including First to the Floor, and I know we got Jake and Ben in the chat, one of my favorite shows on the network. You got to check out the Aussies. They know their stuff. Jack Simone and How About Them C's, Cedric Maxwell podcast, Celtics Beat, which Bobby, I need you to co-host this weekend. We'll talk about it later. Big 3 podcast with Sherrod Blakely. Sherrod will be back for Game 4. He's going to be out for the next one as well. And tons more. Still potable, blah, blah, blah. So check it out. Subscribe. You can also subscribe, rate, review this podcast in audio form wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you need to run it back or you jumped in late or you want to check it out on your way to work tomorrow. But again, thank you guys for hanging out with us on the Garden Report. More basketball content coming up with Noah on this channel. So stick around. For Bobby, Noah, Jimmy, I got to find the outro and press it, and we are out. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it. You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same
way.
for you.
Let's fight out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We are not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke